You ready?
Yes, sir.
One time for the team that's gon' hustle for the green. All we know is grind till the dough come. This debate that radio show, we controlling the globe and we second to no one. Every time we emerge, we putting that work in. Bank that, do it for the culture. Putting on for the city that's 24/7. And we showing love like we supposed to. And we keep making moves by coastal. None of those suckers didn't believe, but I told you. Bank that about to be a household name. And bank that mean we about more change. You don't even know just how I really get. You're rocking with the best, so tuned in where you better be. Plus we getting fancy like Nancy on every single day of the week. And chopping game like a Cherokee. Ballin' like Odell, tryna step more meal. Networking every way, it's about to be a movie. Gotta go big, it's the only way to do it. It's a conglomerate, we getting to it. Plus we got heat for the streets while you puffin' on the cook shop leaf. Riding out on the interstate, we got indies and majors. We international players, all about getting paid. Make sure to tune in and tap in with the movement, cause it's about to go down. Shout out Discover, that's captain of the mothership. If you ain't know, then you know now. We about to get bang down. That radio show. Slum Chapter.
I can't stand you sometimes.
Alright, y'all, we tuned in for a special edition of Banked Out Radio Show, doing this full in-depth interview with my man Billie Slum. So we're gonna get into a lot of different information that y'all probably don't know about, the best artists in making.
There you go. There you go, man. Trying to get darts thrown at me. A lot of these darts get thrown at me, and it don't come from me.
Hold up. But thank you for sitting down with me.
Yeah, man, I ride for my N-words.
Ride for my N-words. I know that you've mentioned throughout the time I've known you that Prince is your favorite artist.
Mm-hmm.
How did Prince become your favorite artist?
No, that's I would emulate him. It's something that my mom played. She let me watch Purple Rain. She put her hand over my eyes over one scene where Apollonia went topless. But I also, captivated by that movie and the songs in it, and then, the record she would play from that album, and how he would go real high, his falsetto, and he would go real low, and I was just always captivated by how he played with the sound and his voice, and I would always emulate that.
How old were you at the time?
I don't know.
Like early childhood?
4, 5, 6, I don't know, something like that.
Well, he was able to stay with you too, though. Because I know even to this day, you still draw his inspiration, draw from him.
Yeah. And the fact that he kind of moved on his own terms. He did what the fuck he wanted to do whenever he wanted to do it. And I was always, I want to do that.
That's what's up. I know you've also mentioned that Nas is a big influence as a rapper for you. What about Nas have you put into your artistry?
The storytelling. Nas will tell you a story and you feel like you right there in the moment with whatever he's saying. Like, he's so descriptive and vivid with how he paints pictures with his music.
So now it's just me and my dog, nigga, pull up a chip. Remember we started from the bottom, it was just us, I swear. With one vision, a little ambition, and the hustler's prep.
And just the wordplay on top of that, like, of course I'm a 80s baby, but my mom was a teenage parent, so she introduced me to hip hop. So she was listening to LL, she was listening to the Fat Boys, Run DMC, and that was cool. I always was captivated by the beats and all of that kind of stuff. But then turning on Rap City, and my first time here, I think it was Halftime. And I was like, man, something different about this dude's flow. And it was like different from everything else that I had heard, and just kind of, my eyes kind of lit up.
So take us through the journey of growing up, you know what I'm saying, you're a Bloomfield kid here in Macon, Georgia.
Hmm.
How was that growing up?
Well, I came home from the hospital to Pleasant Hill. Shout out Pleasant Hill.
Mm-hmm.
And then part of my childhood was spent in Bird City,
Okay.
which is technically not anybody's hood. It's kind of like in between Unionville, in between Bloomfield, but then the majority of my childhood, was in Bloomfield. So Bloomfield was cool. A lot of sports.
Mm-hmm.
We used to make our own. I was just like a adventurous kid. We used to make our own bow and arrows. We made our own wrestling belts out of cardboard and aluminum foil. And we have our little wrestling matches in my grandma's front yard. You know, so that kind of stuff. We tried to make kites, and my grandma had an outhouse where they used to have a chicken coop in the back of the house where they. My granddaddy, he slaughtered hogs and they had chickens.
Mm-hmm.
This is back in obviously the early '80s, early to mid '80s.
Mm-hmm.
So we used to try to make our own kites and jump off the top of the house and see if it really worked. We were idiots, man. It was like daredevils. I was the most outgoing kid as far as like being an extrovert and like around people. I was always to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my cousins, we always just like did the wildest shit ever, man. And so that was the majority of my childhood, playing sports, fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Took a lot of ass whoopings until I got my knuckle game up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, being able to go back and, you know, draw upon these memories as a child, are you able to see the dangers that were there, even though you probably didn't recognize them as a child?
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of traumatic experiences that we grew up in, but in a child's mind, you know, you having fun doing all the things you love to do. You don't realize the extent or the magnitude of everything that's going on around you until you get older and you can look back. Because Bloomfield was a fun place. You know, we played football in the street, like we tackle and get scraped up and like y'all idiots. Why y'all playing football in the middle of the road? But that into when it went from fighting and, you know, just getting in the hood fights or whatever, then it became more of when they introduced the gunplay. And it became more territorial first, because it was always like, okay, we from Bloomfield, y'all from, you know, Fort Hill, or y'all from the Peach Orchard. So it was always that element. But when they introduced the gang aspect of it, when I entering my preteens, teens, that's when things really like changed.
How did that like shape that, or how did that culture shape, you know what I'm saying, Macon? Because I remember when I really learned about gangs and stuff, it was around the same time in middle school, right? And in Nashville, we had different sections, just like, you know what I'm saying, you would have in Macon, and different hoods started claiming, like, you know, different colors, and, you know, then that, you know, turned into other gangs and stuff like that or whatever. And it was like, you know, it was like the cool thing to do, but it wasn't really, looking back at it, I'm like, it was just nonsense as far as, because I know what, you know what I'm saying, the whole, if you go and do the research or whatever, the Bloods and the Crips mainly came from the Black Panther Party. And it was there to bring unity. But then somewhere along the lines or whatever, the messaging got crossed or whatever, and it became against one against the other or whatever, and then all these other ones introduced. Like, what was it about it, you know, that whole lifestyle and culture that appealed to everyone? And like, how did people determine which area became like, you know, a popular blue area or a popular red area or whatever?
Okay, so let me break it down to you. So it was already gangs in Macon. It wasn't Crippin' and Bloodin'. It was I think it was the Kings. That's a little bit before my time. I was a little jit, so I don't really remember all of that. So it was kind of territorial prior to the like Crip, Blood, you know, GD, all that type of stuff. But the first heavy gang that was here was the Crips, and that came from a lot of, you know, older homeboys that was doing business with cats from the West or whatever, and they may have been in prison with cats from the West, so that culture kind of seeped into Macon, and that was the first real explosion of the gang culture. And then of course you had the GDs. Bloods that came a little bit later, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So somebody might be watching this and want to fact check me. That's cool. I don't know every single date, but I do know for my recollection, it was the Crips first, and that came from a lot of West Coast influence and people that I know of that were doing business and moving and shaking with like West Coast cats.
So you discovered, your passion for music, right? Going to church and various other things. But actually, I was thinking about, I was watching that documentary when, we did the TMD project. And I was actually looking and listening to your mom. And listening to her testimony and stuff about, yeah, about, music, and that you've always had, this talent to sing. What really pushed you into going the direction of rap artist first?
Like I said, she introduced me to hip hop. She was a teen mom, so when hip hop really just started to take over the culture, that was her era.
Okay.
So that's all that I would hear, like the Salt and Pepper, the Run DMC, all that stuff. That was her music. So that's all I grew up hearing. Of course, my grandmama, she was the blues and the Otis Redding, the Stevie Wonders, all those classic records that kind of caught my ear as well. So it was just like a mixture of sounds all the time. But obviously, I'm riding every day in the car with my mama. So it was majority hip hop, but you had that Prince sprinkled in. You had that Ready for the World, Keith Sweat, all that stuff was kind of intertwined. But it was mainly hip hop. So that became like my first love, the hip hop.
You remember your first recording session?
My first professional or just my own little bootleg?
Well, actually both, because I think, recording first, I'm saying, regardless of the setup, even if it's bootleg, introduces you into it, and then you start to okay, this is what I sound like, and then professional, it takes you to that new heightened level.
All right, so my first bootleg session would be probably myself and Wolf. No, back before Wolf. Me and the homie named Eric from Pleasant Hill. I'm sure he might see this and be like, yeah, I remember that. So we used to get 2 radios. When I figured out I could really, I would always write poetry and then write little raps. When I figured out I can actually record this and hear myself back, I got a Mary J. Blige. Remember, you used to be able to go to the record store and get a single, right? And they had the actual song on one side, they had the instrumental on the other side, right? So I would take 2 radios, and I had a Mary J. Blige, You Remind Me single.
Okay.
You Remind Me, remember that beat? And I took 2 radios, and I forget what the rap was, and I recorded myself on 2 radios, and that's where I kind of caught the official bug. And I don't know how, I was super young. We would freestyle, and some of it would be written, some stuff I had written. Back then you used to have raps that you practice. And, hey man, rap, and I got a rap I already practiced, and I'm spitting that, and then some of it would be freestyle. So that was the first time I actually recorded myself. Fast forward to, and then of course me and Wolf would always do the same thing.
The way we pulled the talk. This all got something to say. We've been talking to you since '93. When I'm busy
counting opinions, I'm counting bitches. And they kept the state of mind, cause this time all my niggas fishing with me. And this that Mr. Ripley's. Believe it or not, they want it on the back if we coming
Of
for
course
us.
me and Wolf would always do the same thing. We get whatever instrumental we like, whether it's Red Man or Method Man, and we had one that I really loved was Method Man the Riddler that we did. And I fell in love with that. I just knew at that time that that's what I was going to do. That's what I was born to do. First professional, I cannot remember this guy's name, but all I can remember is that he looked like Babyface, and he lived not too far from where y'all live.
Okay.
And we had done a talent show. I forget how we got in contact with this guy. I might have been, I don't know, 15-ish. But he had us thinking he was gonna change our lives. I just remember he looked like Babyface, and we went to his house. He had a makeshift studio in the back of his apartment, and we recorded something. I don't know. That was the first, I guess, introduction to the actual studio. But then fast forward to the whole mud hole situation we got with Otis Redding III. That's the first time I went into a professional studio and recorded what would become that GHWP album with those guys. So, and I was like maybe, I don't know, 16, 17.
So you go through and you do, I imagine at first you're doing like just features and stuff, right? Or compilation type situations. Where did Underland come in at?
Underland was always there. It was always me, Wolf, and 6'4", shot 6'4". But myself and 6'4", we were just kind of like the little homies. And Wolf was like the known guy for rapping around the neighborhood. And he was the one that they recruited to be in GHWP when we first started the Mud Hole. And I was just kind of like the little homie. And Wolf kind of told the big homie, hey man, you know Greedy can rap. And I'd be like, no, don't do that. And then he kind of put me on the spot and like, you got to rap in front of everybody. Rap, man, rap. And then back to those raps that I've been writing and practicing. Spit a rap. And I was like, okay, this little nigga really can rap. Okay, I'm going to put you in the studio. So shout out to big homie, you know who you are. Yeah. And the rest is history. And, so I was always thought to be a part of the actual group GHWP, but I was just like the little homie. I wasn't officially in the group. So once they had their project finished, we put the Underland together. So Wolf was like in both groups.
Yeah. How was that first project for y'all?
Man, I ain't care if we made $1. I was just having fun, man. I just knew that, like I said, I knew this was what I was born to do. So I was dedicated. I always been dedicated, and I always outworked everybody since day one. I ain't saying this to shit on my partners, but they'll tell you that from day one. I always took it serious. I was in the studio when nobody else wasn't. I would be there all day, recording. I had a solo project before I even was supposed to, you know, because I would record that much, and I was always writing. Like, so many thoughts was in my head, I had to write down and record it.
So what was that first solo project?
It was called, I was gonna call it The Ghost Rider. I don't even know what happened to it. One of the songs made it onto the first Underland project. We had it as a bonus song at the end of the album, and I think, I don't know, either that equipment got stolen or the files got lost, but I had a whole album, and Big Homie may still have some of those files. Back then we was recording on what you call DATs, so he still may have some of those DAT tapes. So, hey, maybe worth some money one day. You never know. You hear a young Slum sounding like I was, 10 years old, rapping. Man. I hate hearing.